There exists a high probability of a very golden opportunity for Bitcoin in this coming week, maybe 2 weeks on top of that. But ultimately, we are seeming to come to the end of this current phase, this consolidation that Bitcoin has been basically in since it hit its all-time highs in mid-March. So that is the focus of today. I do want to get into a few other things as well. It's actually starting off with a quick look over here for all of the members in the Krown Quant automation service. Just posted a new 15-minute time frame strategy. I know people love the 15-minute for whatever reason. Is like the most highly requested one. I think it's the lowest time frame that you can really do something for that will, somewhat hold up over time. But you can see the equity curve right here going back to 2018, basically the full history of Bybit, and decide for yourself if that is relevant to you or not. So just want to make sure that all the people who are in there have access to this. Just posted up the settings this morning. And from there, we'll go into the daily statistics, and then we'll go into the content of the day. So Monday, as always, not always, but since the beginning of 2024, does have the highest probability of any weekday to close positively from open to closure, with almost 71% of all Mondays in that time frame closing, positively, with an average return on the positive closures of over 3.5%, and on the negative closing Mondays, just over 2%. So once again, we can use this to kind of come up with a nice range of likely activity for today. 366 to the upside would actually be quite a move for Bitcoin back above 69,000 bucks. I am a lot less biased towards that happening than the downside in comparison, which 2% to the downside would put Bitcoin basically back down around last week's lows, very low $65,000 territory. I am, like I said, biased towards the downside resolution of this, but as always, whenever we see, price action kind of hit into one of these boundaries, likely to be a good area, at least for a little bit of a scalpy scalp. Anyways, moving onwards and forwards from there, and as this will kind of play into the greater narrative of this particular analysis, as I search for my damn notes. Where have my notes gone? We're going to go back on over here. Yeah. Okay, sweet. So we're going to go back to the chart that started off all of this, the one chart to rule them all. In this case, weekly, 5-day, it's the same shit for Bitcoin on CME. Again, Bitcoin playing out drives of not super concerning bearish divergence, but it is in there nonetheless. We can see a nice phantom drive right here on the weekly, as is the 5-day as well. And of course, that is also in combination with what we did see on the daily, 2-day, and 3-day coming at the end of last week, but I don't really want to go over that yet again. And in this case, very likely we do see the easy target of this met, which is the yellow 21 exponential moving average right here, which is crawling its way ever so slowly above, in this case, 61,600 now. So as you can see, probably within the next week, maybe 2 weeks, we're going to see it actually hop up and likely be very close to the 618 fib retracement here, also known as the golden pocket or the golden opportunity in this case. And I do believe that that is likely a destination for this current move. Maybe we see it happen this week. Maybe we see it next week. Again, timing of this, we did go over on the weekend. Very likely not before Friday. Very likely not before Friday, but anytime between this Friday and then next Friday, very, very likely. So it's starting to get tighter and tighter here. Obviously, I understand it's pretty damn boring for most people in this market, but at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, or at least that's what I'm here for. I don't have a fucking life. So fair enough. Again, 21 exponential on the weekly, plus 618. And of course, for the good old 21 EMA Mimi, we can go ahead and look at the annals of history. And for Bitcoin, it's just generally been a good area to look for nice higher lows in the case of bull markets, and to look for nice lower highs in the case of a bear market. Of course, we can go back and test this much further throughout the annals of history for Bitcoin, but I won't do that in this particular video because you've probably already seen this. I assume that the people who are sticking around during these periods of the market, you're probably very familiar. You're probably very familiar with these things by this time. So multiple points of confluence here. Do we get this move on a Monday? Probably not. Do we get it before the end of the week? It probably starts before the end of the week, but still looking down around there. Again, I should also update what we see on stochastic momentum, the new pivots for CME. Daily momentum continues to remain to the downside as long as Bitcoin price action is closing below 69,250. Also should be known that Bitcoin has officially broken this trendline regression that we drew out, I guess this was last week, indicating that, this prior structure, which was actually getting a lot of major bounces for Bitcoin pretty damn well, is well, suggesting that it's not going to hold this time, thus lower, thus lower. Going back into it, 2-day time frame is also going to be downside angled, of course, as long as Bitcoin's below 70,400 on a closing basis. The 3-day time frame is also going to be downside angled as long as Bitcoin's below 68,400. The 5-day time frame is also going to be downside angled as long as Bitcoin's below 68,500, and the weekly, same shit there as well. So we basically see all higher term time frames for Bitcoin in concert with each other, which is usually a really, really good sign that we will see this one play out. Much more higher probability of that. And again, I'm not really looking for lows until we get that bull moon, baby, the bull moon, or perhaps more importantly, the June quad witching. So we'll do more content on that maybe later on in this week as that becomes more and more relevant towards the current interest. But for right now, with the way that everything closed, I don't really have any real major reason to change my analysis as it has been for the past couple weeks here. Again, a couple weeks ago, the rejection on Friday, that was the telling signal for Bitcoin that was unlikely to see any sort of major breakout, probably throughout the majority of summer, if that. And next move is very likely to the downside. Again, I want to reiterate my overall stance as I start to see more and more bearish takes come into this market, which is fine, which is good, I guess. You need both sides of the market, obviously. I don't think Bitcoin's breaking down here. Don't think cycle's over. Don't think anything like that's happening. Just think that Bitcoin's likely gonna try for a higher low. With that said, I would be remiss not to talk about this over here. So when we look at the weekly for CME on the HPDR bands, what was very interesting to me and what I did not expect to see on this new open is at the bottom end of the 38.2 level right here. This channel actually stepped down. I was expecting that to step up, hopefully closer to like $61,000 as Bitcoin, that would be added influence for a very likely higher low there. So I do believe that risk, still, there is technically greater risk to the downside past that level, maybe closer to the 38.2 level here, which is actually at $57,000 as of right now. So I would kind of be surprised to see that hit this week or even next week. That's why I still think you're probably going to get something like this, where it does something like that, and then this level steps up at the same time. After this week, but of course it doesn't update until this new week is over. So, it's going to be a long waiting game. It's going to be still pretty much more or less boring throughout this week and likely next week as well. But boring is going to be better for the BULAs long term and does offer up opportunities for more long-term investors here as well. And that's just the name of the game, I suppose, right now. So, put things into perspective, right? Bitcoin was basically just straight up since September of last year to, March of this year. No real, long form major consolidations or like scary reversals. I guess this one over here a little bit. So what's like a few months of consolidation at these very, very high levels with Bitcoin basically on new all-time highs anyways. So to me, that's a very strong signal long term, but yeah, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't come down here, percentage wise, close to like, somewhere between like 6 and 10%, I would imagine. So yeah. Anything else? I think that's probably it for today. As always, I want to wish you the best of the best. By the way, I completely forgot yet again, but you probably know this as well. Crypto school is starting in 10 days. You got a few more hours. 10 days, 7 hours, 9 minutes, and 3 seconds and counting. Again, spots are limited. We don't know we don't really know what the response from this is going to be. So we don't know if there's going to be more cohorts, after this one. But of course, if you are interested in my sort of philosophy on price action, if you're interested in my sort of just general setup template, then you can get that through here. It's really, really well professionally recorded and everything. Basically they have access to shit that I just don't. I mean, they have animators and shit like that. So, they can really, really hammer in the points with some of the more maybe nuanced concepts, but make it more visual, which I think is very, very useful. So if you're interested in such things, the link is in the description below. Again, in 10 days, the first sort of major event will occur there. I think we even have an event this week, and we'll actually do weekly live streams for the people in this cohort. So yeah, good place for me to be leaving off as always. Want to be wishing you the best. MetaSignal still got 14 days free trial as well. And I'll be signing off on that note. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.